Hello, everybody. We are doing our third 1 hour builds here, and today I'm going to be doing something a little different than we did the first two times. I decided to, due to some feedback from people in the community, we are going to do this a little bit longer. It's still going to be a 1 hour build, but we're going to drag the video out to 30 minutes instead of 15. That way, people have a little bit more chance to actually see what I was doing. That was one of the main complaints we got in the last one, was the fact that it was going so fast, nobody could follow along, really. So this time, since it seemed like that is what people wanted to do, I decided to put together a mod pack. So down below the video for this one, you'll find a Steam Workshop link that will allow you to download all the assets, all the mods, everything I use in this video, including the map, the LUT, literally everything. One click and you're done. So if you're on Steam and you're playing this game, that'll give you the opportunity to not only play along here, but also, kind of follow along through this series. Because I think in this one too, another bit of feedback we got in the first one was people want to see a little bit deeper into the cities. And I kind of feel that way too. I feel like doing these early city starts over and over again might get kind of boring for people. So I think we're going to play out this map at least for a couple episodes here on YouTube, and we'll see how that goes. So this map is Telemark is the name of the map. It's a Norwegian inspired map, I believe, and we're using the Cedar Valley 4K LUT, or I think it's the realistic LUT in the Cedar Valley 4K map theme. I think that's what it is. But it comes together for a very nice looking sort of rocky northern map. Lots of little valleys on this map. Of course, if you get the map, you'll be able to see this. Another cool feature of this map is it comes with built-in power and built-in water and sewage to get you started. I totally spaced that it came with a dam over on the end of the map, so I put a coal generator down to the front area. But yeah, because we're going to be doing this city a little bit more fully, I decided to sort of break this up into little sections. So the first section we're doing here today is a little small, like valley neighborhood area is kind of what I had in mind. We end up putting a park in here. We end up putting Industries DLC farming in one of these little islands. But again, I'm kind of mixing up. You can see I'm mixing up the roads. Now, this is something that I hadn't really talked about before too in depth, but one of the best ways to make your city look a little bit more unique is just by changing the roads. And you notice up here on the front edge where I'm doing the industrial, I put in one of the Network Extension 2 roads, the striped main lane road. And then just sort of let my mind guide me here on where the road should go. Just trying to fill up space with oddball road lengths and things like that. Now, another thing is too, roads are very rarely 100% straight. So a really easy way to get a natural look to your city is just turn off all the snapping. You notice here, I turn off snapping and just do all these manually. Even for the main road through town here, I did the same thing. And it lets you get way more precise, I guess we'll call it, bends and turns in your roads. So of course, like usual, when you're just laying it out like this, it just looks like a bunch of green squares. But once the city comes together, you'll be able to see exactly how it looks. So with a section like this, we created that little road down in the end for the dump. I knew I was going to be putting my industrial area down here by the water. It just felt like a good spot for it there off the right side of the freeway. Or not the right side of the freeway, but the right side of the road leading through here. Now this, I decided to take a gravel road, and I can see, or you can see, I wasn't really looking where I was going with this. I was just trying to kind of follow the terrain and see where it took me. This is kind of like a fun thing to do. If you get really close, zoomed in like this, and just start putting a road down wherever it seems to go, when you zoom out again, it does start to look really natural, and I think that sort of is inspired by the fact that most roads in real life work that way. They line them from point to point, but they don't line them for 70 miles at a time. It's usually little small sections like this from one curve to the next. So had a little bit of trouble getting a tunnel in here. I forgot that gravel roads and small roads won't go into tunnels, so had to switch off and make a real road. But ended up taking that up there, coming back down to the main section of the city here again. just putting some fire in. Now, I'm not using any special schools, any special fire stations, any custom crazy cheaty assets like that. Because there are some assets out there with, like, you know, has 500 fire trucks in it and covers your entire city. Those are nice, I think, for detailers. Like if you're planning on doing detailing, you don't really care too much about micromanaging small portions of your city like that. It's not a bad idea to go get one of those. And to be honest, normally I play with schools that have like a 3,000 capacity, just because I hate ending up in a small town like this having to put like 4 elementary schools in. It doesn't even make sense, honestly. A town this size would not have a 250 max limit on their elementary school, or they would have more than one, or they would they wouldn't end up with like 4 in a small town like this. So for people who don't know, you can right click and drag along roads. You'll see I'm doing this here as I line out the park area. If you right click and drag along roads, it'll zone the industry, or not the industry, but the districts really nicely there for the edges. Now, obviously it didn't work out favorably for me here because it doesn't quite reach the road when you wipe it off the road like that. So I had to redo it. But that worked out because I ended up determining I was going to turn this whole area into a park anyway. So the area is coming together quite nicely here. I was still working on the first area of the city. Got that initial bridge coming in. And this map's going to be a ton of fun to play on. I mean, there are like 8 or 9 primary building spots that are sort of integrated into the map already. And after we get done with those, I'm not sure if we'll go on to maybe flatten some other areas or work on something else. Now, yet again, second video in a row, I totally forgot to turn off natural disasters. So this time, I didn't want this city getting ruined. I went ahead and shut it off here. No more random natural disasters. Not for this series, anyway. On stream, I'll do that stuff. And if you haven't been by my stream, I mean, that's primarily what I do. I'm primarily a Twitch streamer. So if you haven't been over there, that's usually where I'm producing content. I play Skylines over there, play Rocket League, play all kinds of games, but mostly just hang out a couple nights a week. So feel free to come by and check that out. But here, I figured a parking lot would be perfect for right here. I decided to turn this into a nice little parking area, and I have the worst luck with these little things. Like, they never seem to want to line up straight. Like, they're either 1 pixel off one way or 1 pixel off the other, and it drives me absolutely insane. But either way, we're able to get this in. And normally what I would do in a situation like this, you notice how that parking spot's kind of hanging off the end there? Normally I would grab, using Move It, I would grab the end of the parking, not here where it connects to the road, but over on the left-hand side. I'd just grab it and drag it over a little bit so that it fit my parking spots perfectly. But of course, you know, I didn't think about that till literally right now. So that's what I get. That's what I get for watching my own video back and editing. So either way, fleshing out this initial park area, I always shut the price off. I mean, you don't, like, even if you jack it up to maximum ticket price to come into a park, you're not going to make your city's money off of it. It's just really a waste of money. And, you know, there are some tricks you can do, like making a park between 2 different districts in your city to force everybody to walk through your park. And, you know, you can generate a lot of money off parks that way. But as you can see, you know, I haven't even gotten into industries yet, and I'm still producing 2,000 a turn. So the city is very profitable for the size it's at. And one of the key things to make that happen is just a matter of balancing. I mean, balancing your everything, just building according to your demand. That will help keep your city's income balanced and keep your population and everything just right. Now, another thing that really helped was not putting these parks in immediately, letting people get some high school education before you put the parks in. Because one of the biggest things that I've noticed is if you put parks in too early, it'll level up all your commercial and industrial up to level 3, but then you won't have enough educated citizens to work the jobs. And so you end up with this, I mean, it goes away pretty quickly as long as you have high schools available, but you do end up with this period where people don't have enough jobs and businesses start getting abandoned. It can be really annoying. So just waiting for, 5 minutes after you put down your high school is usually all you need, especially if you're running at 3 times speed. So beginning to build off to our second area here, the goal with this one was to kind of fill out the mouth of this little valley. You may have saw the full valley at the beginning of this video. I kind of panned over it, but just looking to fill the mouth of this valley right now. And again, you can see I'm working through here with different types of roads. This area, I kind of had like a rich neighborhood in mind. You know, it's going to be kind of set off on its own away from the main downtown area. But the only problem I had with that is I'm like, you know, it's butted right up against railroad tracks, and that doesn't really make a lot of sense for like a ritzy neighborhood. So I wasn't entirely sure, you know, whether to call this a ritzy neighborhood or not, but that was what I had in mind when I threw it down over there. I was thinking of like a gated community, you know, sort of its own thing off here in the woods. And yeah, either way, I think when we compare it to the overall city design as a whole, it fits in fairly nicely, even if it's not exactly what I had in mind. So again, here, you notice I didn't connect that road up to the highway there. And this is pretty important. It's not something I touch on all the time, but you want to make sure not to put too many intersections very close together. That's one of the reasons I have the middle road connected here, far back from the turnoff from the highway, just because you want to keep it fairly spread apart. You don't want a bunch of cars turning left, right, all in one spot. It creates huge headache, huge traffic congestion issues. Here, I end up spending way too much time on this, I think. I felt like farming land should be flat, and I just couldn't decide like whether it needed to come up or down or like if it would even fit here, and like nothing quite felt right. I think in the end, I end up leveling it out here, and it does come out, you know, moderately okay, but this could have been better, I think. And I'd like to see what you guys do. You know, I put this mod pack together. Excuse me. I put this mod pack together. I put the map and everything in there. So if you guys want to, you can totally post some pictures in the Discord. Show me what you came up with and what you decided to do for your first hour build. That'd be cool to see. It would be cool to see. And yeah, we all have the opportunity to start here kind of on even footing, because I've never played this map before. So it'll be fun to do. It'll be fun to see if anybody plays along here. But yeah, I thought this island would turn out into a nice little farming area. The one thing I hate about the farm fields in this game, though, is that they're very large and they're very square or rectangular. Like there's not a whole lot of variance in their shape. So when I'm laying out an area like this, there's no way to get like a natural looking farm field out here without like really leveling it and kind of squaring off the land. So I put the main controller building over there on the side. I figured that this little section was going to primarily be, and I am deleting this because I'm like, this is too wonky for me. Yeah, I end up sort of gridding this side out because I figure, you know, the flour mill is going to go here. We might put warehouses in here. We might put animal product producers up in there. It kind of needed to be squared off a little bit just for organization purposes. But I'm still going to do the video on Industries DLC. But one important thing I can point out just real quick for people is generally you want about a 2-to-3 ratio or a 3-to-4 ratio of production buildings to second tier buildings. So in this case, your production building would be the farm fields. Your second tier building would be the animal products. You know, because it feeds crops and animal products. So second tier. For your second tier producers, you generally want about 2 for every 3 crop fields you have. If I remember right, I don't have the numbers up in front of me. And when I do the Industries video, I'll definitely get that nailed out. But just for a quick reference for you, if you're having trouble with it, try a 2-to-3 ratio. It generally will work, and it will generally keep you pretty well balanced. And the goal, as always with Industries DLC, is to keep yourself about 8 tons of crops over. No more, no less. If you have 0 tons of crops, if you click on like where it says Hickory Grove there and look at your industry as a whole, you don't want to have 0 production of crops because that means you're just not producing enough, and you don't want to have anything over 8 really because that means you're overproducing crops. And that's a whole other topic, so we'll avoid that. So coming back over to the city here, I decided to stretch this area out a little bit because I needed some form of commercial up here. But I didn't want to build right up against the water. I wanted to keep that tree line nice and clean up there. I didn't want it being taken out by houses. So that went in up there. And I figured a nice little small, very small commercial district here would help alleviate some of our commercial issue. Now, you know, I was talking earlier about balance in the video. Right here is a perfect example of me not maintaining balance. I tried to throw up the farm industry to eat up my industrial demand, but even after getting that up, it still didn't seem to be enough. You know, I had to come down here and add just a little bit more industrial trying to keep this thing balanced so we could get more residential demand. Obviously right here, there's too many jobs and not enough workers. So, is that right? Yeah, there's not enough workers. But nobody wants to move here because there's too many jobs. I don't know exactly what's happening. I'm too tired for this. It's 6:15 a.m. right now. I've been up all night, but I wanted to get this video done. I did. So we are here and we are doing it. And I hope you guys enjoy it. You know, I hope on this one you guys are able to follow along a little bit more closely. And I'd really like to see people's builds. So here's a little trick that I use Move It for pretty frequently. And of course, that's included in the mod pack that we have down there today, is just laying these fences out kind of haphazardly and then coming back through with Move It and straightening them out. Because you can get a way better line than you ever could doing it, you know, just trying to stick to those edges. This is just so much easier to come back through and get just perfect curves. I don't end up fencing off the whole park because I wasn't sure exactly how I was going to do the waterfront area. If I was going to, you know, fence up to the water area, or if I was going to extend the park past under the bridge. I'm thinking I might take the park past under the bridge, but that might be on the next video. Or on the next video, we'll just kick off to the next section of the city. Either way. But, you know, like I said before, I'm hoping to be able to do this city in, you know, 3, 4, 5 episodes, something like that. And that'll give people a better picture of the map as a whole. And I hope the map maker gets a chance to see this, because I want to show off some of these guys' creations, or some of these ladies' creations, because they do really fantastic work. I mean, this map is really well designed. I've played a lot of maps in my day, and some of the features, you know, I was looking out there at the water and I just saw a rock sitting out in it. And I'm like, man, that guy thought to put a rock out there. Like, that rock didn't just appear. He or she looked at it and said that needs a rock right there. So it's the little details like that I think really bring a map to life. Over here, I noticed that I was going to need a place for animal products fairly soon, because all my trucks would be going off map. If you don't have a local distributor, such as a warehouse or a grain silo, something like that, all your trucks are just going to drive off the map. And when they drive off the map, you're going to see not enough buyers for goods. Just remember, most of the time when there's not enough buyers for goods, it's not because you aren't producing enough, or it's not because you... it's just usually because you are overproducing. Let me put it that simply. If you're overproducing, you're going to end up with too many trucks going off the map trying to get rid of the excess goods, and you're going to end up in trouble. That simple. So we'll leave that at that. This is another reason I've been holding off on the Industries DLC video, because it's a very complex topic, and I'm just tired. I'm tired tonight. I'm tired most days. But I do love Skylines, and I do like making these videos, and I hope somebody can get something interesting out of them. You know, if not some inspiration, but then at least something. You know, introduction to a new map or a new mod or something people can get out of it. But really, realistically, I would hope to sort of inspire people to be able to do this stuff themselves, because I know a lot of people are intimidated by mods, or they, you know, don't have super powerful computers, can't really handle it. It's a pretty slim mod pack. I think it's got like 192 assets altogether, which are mostly just trees and bushes and things like that. And then maybe I think like 10 mods, 15 mods, something like that. Just like the bare essentials that I feel you kind of need to play with. You know, not that you ever need mods to play with, but they make your quality of life while gaming so much better. So I decided maybe over here I would try like a ritzier neighborhood, put a gravel road out there, and I wanted to put sort of like all the rich farmers out here. You know, all the people who, like the barons of the farmland. That was kind of the idea behind putting them out there. But realistically, this park, I was concerned about parks, because sometimes when you put things on angles like this, they don't come out looking so good. But that park ended up coming out looking pretty good, sort of sloped up the hill. I think I might connect it up some gravel paths later and just sort of run some park area out there. Now, as I was talking about earlier, not enough buyers for goods right there on my flour mill. Perfect example. I forgot to put down a warehouse for flour, and so all my flour trucks are driving off the map. Not that there's not enough buyers, just all my trucks are in use and there's no trucks left to move stuff out of my flour mill. So I put a flour warehouse there, small warehouse storage. When you're doing Industries DLC, just remember there is usually one of the two products that get produced. In the case of farming in the case of farming right here, you have animal products and flour. Animal products are vastly more valuable than flour when sold. So if you're going to do farming, or if you're going to do farming, try to pump out as much animal product as you can. That's really where your moneymaker is. And again, because of that, you really only need one flour mill and one grain storage of any kind at any time, because you don't want to be producing a ton of grain. You don't want to be producing a ton of flour. You want to be producing a ton of animal products. So pumping all your grain into the animal products is the way to go. Make sure you're getting use out of it, and you're going to have a very profitable industry. But yeah, I'm just expanding this area across the river a little bit now, taking a little neighborhood off over by the highway. Now, I figure because it's a highway, not a freeway, it isn't exactly the most inappropriate thing to have houses butted right up against it. You know, you'll kind of see that when you're out on rural roads. You'll find a couple houses scattered off a highway out there in the woods. I figured it's not totally inappropriate to put houses right there, but trying to keep sort of a natural feel for my town. And you notice, even though we're up to almost 3,600 people, so far I haven't had any traffic issues. And one of the main reasons for that is, one, we kept the clock running while we built the city, which is really more important than people think, because if you don't keep the clock running, then everybody moves in at one time, every business opens at the same time, all the trucks get ordered at the same, like everything happens in chunks, and then you end up with massive waves of traffic and death waves. And, you know, for anybody who's seen a death wave in this game, just imagine that happens for literally everything you build in the game, but you usually just don't notice. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. You don't necessarily want to build while paused, especially not large areas. You know, if you're working on a small little chunk, that's a totally different story. But here, you know, coming down towards the tail end of the video, I wasn't sure exactly how much further out to expand, so I decided to sort of flush out the park area. I figured since we did have an hour to do this build, and I didn't really want to make it massive, this would be a good opportunity to sort of do a little detail work. You know, and sort of do a little bit of A and a little bit of column B when it comes to this video. Not entirely detailing, but just sort of flushing out our park area. And I thought it came out looking kind of nice. So when you're doing flora and fauna and stuff like this, one important thing to remember is variance. And if you ever go out in the woods and you look around, or if you see a park or something like that, chances are anywhere you look, you're looking at like 40 or 50 different kinds of plants. Even if they're all like yellow plants, they're probably different kinds out there, you know, different species of grass and things like that. So when you keep in mind that there's going to be a ton of variance in any rural setting like this, not that a park's super rural, but I did want to keep it fairly natural looking, especially because it's kind of running along the river. Mix it up. You can mix it up, but you know, I'm flipping through random bushes here. It's nothing specific. And you know, you can obviously go into way more detail than I did here, just putting down a few patches of this and that. Because, you know, you want to really be able to connect your city. And I would love to see what you guys do. Take some of this, take this mod pack, and show me what your city ends up looking like, because you can definitely do better than me, almost guaranteed. So one trick I didn't really do here in this video was you can copy paste using Move It. And that's something that I noticed a lot of really high quality detailers will do. They'll lay down a little like forest patch, some grass, a tree, some bushes, and then they'll just copy paste it using Move It, because you can use the marquee tool to select multiple things. And if you scroll back to the farm section that we did a little bit ago, you'll actually see me doing that. Highlight selecting all the roads and then matching the height. So you can do that same thing, highlight selecting a section of brush and trees and stuff, and then just Control C to copy and Control V to paste it wherever you want on the map. And it lets you sort of take a unique creation of your own personal cut of grass and trees and bushes and stuff, and move it around your map, flush it out really nicely. So yeah, that's probably something you'll see me do more in the future, but for right now, I just kind of did it manually there, mostly because I wasn't thinking of it. Again, you know, it's always interesting how many things come back to you in hindsight. Watching the video back, it's like, wow, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? Well, next time, right? Next time. So I put the library out there. I don't like it out there. I really don't. There's no purpose for a library in the middle of like a rural village, but because it didn't really become the ritzy neighborhood section that I wanted it to be, it was like a rage library. I would call that a rage library. I was very angry and I slapped that library in there. So I apologize for my lashing out. You know, it's really unbecoming of me to do that in front of you guys. So I do apologize. But yeah, coming back down here, repurposing at this point, because we no longer have any industrial demand, and you probably won't ever again after you start building Industries DLC stuff. I mean, there's so many workplaces available. Each one of those little houses we added at the farm thing, I think hold like 20 jobs. So that's 400 jobs we added over there, plus the flour mill and stuff. Like, the jobs are going to be endless from the industrial DLC. Now this, I just couldn't help but stare at. Like, why the game lets you put stuff down like this, period, just baffles me. But I was determined. I was 100% determined to put a little garden on top of this hill. So you see me, I messed with this for far too long. But I really wanted it. I really wanted this to work, because I'm so tired of all my things being like wonky like that. So I think, I don't know, I might end up just calling that good. That seems like something I would call good. No, I don't know. I don't know what I would do. Let's see what I do. Either way, I was very dissatisfied with this. And then when I did finally get it leveled out right, I'm like, well, now this slope on this road over here is like a 90-degree, like this is something that you would die on if you were to go down this. You know, your car would just slide, and I can't raise the bottom, and it was just ruined. Everything was ruined. And I needed this little garden to come in perfectly. So I think we finally get it moved around. And this is one nice part of Move It too. You can really easily reposition buildings just a little bit. You know, I mean, obviously you could copy it and move it across the map if you wanted to, but it's really easy to do it and to move those things out of the way. So I figured I'd come back over here. We'd finish this gravel road leading up to the top. And I think this is where I was going to build the sort of ritzier neighborhood. I ended up putting just like a gravel loop. Now, this road was sort of inspired by a place up in Washington that I went to. I was doing this aerial photography job up in the Olympic Peninsula in Washington. And it was really weird because I found this gravel road out here in the middle of the mountains that had a gate on it. And, you know, I had the gate code to go through, obviously. And I go up this gravel road, and it just goes for like 16 miles up into the mountains before it comes to like a village like this of just really, really rich people who I don't know how it works. Like, I don't know if rich people just go out there and like squat. I mean, that's what I know is squatting. I'm like one of those hood people, you know. But either way, I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like it, and I will see you next time.